Now at 10 and streaming on CrossroadsToday.com, a Victoria teen receives his sentence in a fatal shooting from last September. And an argument over a parking spot at the Houston Zoo led to gunfire. Plus, we have an update on the Old County Jail in downtown Victoria, the fate of this historical building tonight.
We're looking for a fairly cool day tomorrow. As a matter of fact, you can see right here, we're looking for a high of only 63. So that's a little bit chilly. Good thing is that by the weekend, we'll be back up to about 80 degrees. We'll have all that coming up in a moment.
And hear from the state champion Victoria East ladies coming up in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Karina Garcia. Don Brubaker has the night off. 17-year-old Logan Robles of Victoria was sentenced to 30 years for the fatal shooting of 57-year-old Hector Gonzalez. Robles shot Hector Gonzalez multiple times after a verbal altercation back in September. First responders attempted to save the 57-year-old, but he died from his wounds. Authorities located Robles and two more teens in a nearby apartment complex where the murder weapon was discovered in an alley behind that apartment. The teen must now serve half of his sentence before he's eligible for parole. Should it stay or should it go? For now, the Old County Jail in downtown Victoria will stay put for at least 6 more months. Today, Victoria Preservation and Corporation presented a proposal to county commissioners asking the court to hold off on making any decisions for the next 6 months. During that waiting period, leaders will accept bids for demolition and also review cost estimates to restore the 1940s building. Next Monday, county commissioners will review exactly how they plan to move forward with their plans. And with that, let's take a first look at your forecast with Chief Meteorologist Mac Bettis over there on that weather wall. Mac, what do you got tonight?
Well, we've got some cool temperatures to deal with for the next couple of days. As a matter of fact, all these are the first time we've been below average in a month and a half. So the highs tomorrow is going to require, I think, a light windbreaker or a sweater, because the high temperature is only 63 degrees. The good news is the wind is settling down, but after a little bit of rain on Thursday, I think we've got a great looking weekend, so we'll have all that coming up in a moment.
Mac, thank you. The U.S. Supreme Court blocked Texas from enforcing a law that lets state officials arrest and detain people they suspect are coming into the country illegally. This administrative stay takes hold as the High Court considers emergency appeals. That would include from the Biden administration, which wants the justices to block the law until those challenges play out. It was last December that Texas Governor Greg Abbott signed Senate Bill 4 into law. Some immigration advocates were concerned about the measure's potential for racial profiling. The Fifth Circuit is scheduled to hear oral arguments next month. A parking dispute at the Houston Zoo led to gunfire. Houston police say security guards opened fire at a woman who reportedly assaulted a man during an argument over a parking spot Friday afternoon. Officers received a call about the incident at around 2:15. They say the woman tried to leave the scene in a vehicle with children inside. When the vehicle hit one of the security officers, shots were then fired into the vehicle, hitting the woman multiple times.
This incident first started in the parking lot of the zoo. Two citizens were arguing over a parking spot. Okay, at one point, one of the citizens, a female citizen, assaulted the male. A security guard tried to intervene. She tried to flee from the scene. As she was trying to flee, the security guards were communicating via the radio. They tried to detain her out here on the street. Another security guard approached her. She hit him with her vehicle, and that's when apparently the shots were fired into the vehicle.
It is unclear if anyone else was hurt. House Speaker Mike Johnson visited the Permian Basin in Texas today. The speaker kicked off National Energy Week by taking on a tour of the Diamondback Energy drilling rig at the invitation of Representative August Fuller, whose District 11 includes the region. Johnson also criticized the Biden administration for what he called its anti-energy agenda, claiming Biden's policies are bad for the nation's energy, security, and bad for the nation's economy. New clues tonight in the desperate search for a missing University of Missouri student who disappeared in Nashville earlier this month. His family is making an emotional plea, asking the public for help.
A massive search underway for 22-year-old Riley Strain, who's been missing for more than a week. The University of Missouri student was last seen on March 8th in Nashville during a fraternity trip. Newly released police body camera footage shows Strain walking by an officer that night just before 10, seemingly okay in a brief interaction.
How you doing, sir? I'm good. How are you? Good.
Investigators using helicopters, drones, and boats looking for any trace of him.
It's not getting any easier.
No.
Time seems like it's really to the critical point, and we want to ask anybody if they know anything to please share it.
Two citizen detectives who have been searching for clues say they found a bank card under a bridge with Riley's name on it not far from where he disappeared.
You found his credit card? We come and found his credit card. We gotta hang up. My stomach sank, her stomach sank, and we both looked at each other like, is this real?
Surveillance videos show the 6'7" student walking alone after leaving a bar owned by country music star Luke Bryan. You can see Strain falling and stumbling in the streets. The bar saying Riley was served 1 drink and 2 waters, and then our security team made a decision based on our conduct and standards to escort him from the venue. Police saying Riley's phone last pinged across the river from the famed Broadway strip. His parents have traveled to Nashville in hopes of getting some answers.
Really appreciate everything.
It's what's keeping us going.
Strain's phone has been off since he went missing. At this point, police say there is no evidence of foul play, but add that they are open to all possibilities. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
Across the world, the United Nations is warning that a famine is present in northern Gaza, where aid deliveries are limited. A UN-backed report released Monday shows that almost half of Gaza's population is facing a serious food insecurity, and that it is highly that the famine threshold for severe malnutrition was also exceeded. The report comes as Israel faces mounting pressure from its allies to streamline the entry of aid deliveries into the Gaza Strip and open more land crossings. Now, President Joe Biden spoke with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for the first time in more than a month today. During the call, the leaders discussed the importance of delivering more aid into Gaza. President Biden also raised concerns about the pending Israeli operation in Rafah, where more than 1 million Palestinians are sheltering. Tension between the two leaders has grown in recent months due to differences related to getting humanitarian aid to Gaza, protecting civilians, and what the future could hold for Palestinians. The lawyer for convicted Rust film armorer Hannah Gutierrez-Reed is asking for a new trial. A jury found Gutierrez-Reed guilty of involuntary manslaughter earlier this month for the on-set deadly shooting of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins. Gutierrez-Reed's lawyers filed an emergency motion last Friday, arguing some of the wording the judge gave in jury instructions was confusing, prompting a request for a retrial. The defense team also asked the judge to release Gutierrez-Reed from custody while she awaits the ruling. United Airlines is under scrutiny after a series of flight incidents. With the busy summer travel season approaching, the CEO has issued a letter to customers in an effort to assure them that safety is their #1 priority.
The CEO of United Airlines, Scott Kirby, issuing a letter earlier today after the airline had 9 incidents in the last 2 weeks, writing, "Unfortunately, in the past few weeks, our airline has experienced a number of incidents that are reminders of the importance of safety. While they are all unrelated, I want you to know that these incidents have our attention and have sharpened our focus." On Friday, after a plane landed in Medford, Oregon, it was discovered a panel on the underside of the fuselage was missing. Earlier this month, flames seen coming from an engine forcing a plane to return to Houston. In San Francisco, a plane lost a wheel on takeoff, and days later, there was a hydraulic leak on a flight heading to San Francisco. And in Houston, a United Boeing 737 MAX slid off the runway. Kirby saying United will review each case and make changes as needed. He says they were already planning to give an extra day of in-person training for pilots and change the training curriculum for new hire maintenance technicians. Airline safety has been heightened following that incident where a door plug ripped off this Alaska Airlines Boeing 737 MAX plane in Portland in January. Investigators say bolts securing the door were missing. No one has been seriously injured in any of these incidents, but several are under investigation by federal officials. Jacqueline Lee, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Back in Victoria, Keep Victoria Beautiful needs your help for Victoria A Day of Caring. It's set for Saturday, April 13th. The spring trash off roadway cleanup is part of TxDOT's Adopt a Highway program. Keep Victoria Beautiful will clean about 8 miles of the roadway. Volunteers will get a t-shirt and a food ticket for the De Leon Plaza expansion ribbon cutting ceremony and De Leon statue dedication that same day. Meet at the Target parking lot at Loop 453. The cleanup is from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Now remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click that notification bell. For now, stay with us. A woman in Ohio has been sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Coming up on 25 News Now at 10, we go over the crime she committed to receive that sentence. Also ahead, small towns and cities in Texas are preparing for the total solar eclipse next month. Judge sentenced a mother to life in prison without parole and the death of her 16-month-old daughter. Prosecutors say the woman left her child alone in a playpen for 10 days while she went on vacation. The judge handed down his decision after an emotional hearing this morning and sentenced her to life in prison.
You committed the ultimate act of betrayal, leaving your baby terrified, alone, unprotected, to suffer what I heard was the most gruesome death imaginable.
Testimonies came from family members and the mother, who said in part, quote, "I'm not trying to justify my actions, but nobody knew how much I was suffering and what I was going through. Every day I asked for forgiveness from God, my daughter, and Jalen." She went on to say, "God and my daughter have forgiven me," unquote. An unwelcome milestone at the gas pump. Gas prices are higher than they've been all year. AAA says regular gas climbed to $3.47 a gallon Monday. That's up from $3.45 a year ago. It's the first time since December that prices have been up on a year-over-year basis. Industry experts say while demand usually increases as the weather warms up, other factors are causing prices to skyrocket, specifically recent drone attacks on Russian oil refineries and refinery outages caused by extreme cold. Now here's your viewer poll tonight. You can scan that QR code right there on your screen to vote. The question is, have you felt the surge in gas prices? Yes or no? According to our results tonight, it looks like 42% stand at yes and the remaining 56% stand at no. Thank you for voting tonight. Now, the first birth control approved for over-the-counter use in the United States is now available for purchase. Healthcare experts say this marks a major milestone.
For the first time in U.S. history, online orders have begun for over-the-counter birth control pills. There are no age restrictions and no prescription necessary.
I think is a win for everybody. It allows improved access to contraceptive care to women. It is also, I think, financially very doable.
Perrigo, the company behind the pill, says one-month packs will be sold with a suggested price of $19.99. Approved by the FDA last year, the company says O-Pill is 98% effective at preventing pregnancy when taken as directed at the same time every day. OBGYN Dr. Sujatha Reddy says most hormonal birth control pills contain both progestin and estrogen, which for some can carry risk of blood clots, heart attacks, affect migraine headaches, and shouldn't be used by smokers over 35. But O-Pill uses only progestin to prevent pregnancy.
There are some people who should not take the estrogen combination pills, but for them, O-Pill is probably safe.
She says the list of people who shouldn't take progestin-only pills for medical reasons is very short, including those with certain conditions like breast cancer or liver disease, or if they're taking certain medications.
In general, birth control is very safe, and I think we're seeing improved access because it's been around for so long, and we know it's very safe.
Following the online launch, O-Pill is expected to hit shelves later this month at major retailers and pharmacies, including Walgreens and CVS.
The manufacturer says orders will be fulfilled within a day or two. They will be sent in plain, unbranded boxes for customer privacy. Small towns and cities in Texas are preparing to share the global spotlight for the total solar eclipse. While some counties have issued a disaster declaration ahead of record-breaking crowds, the city of Boerne is ready. There's one couple who's visiting just to get married during the 3-minute, 23-second totality. The city's director of communications says leaders have worked behind the scenes with authorities, businesses, and its Chamber of Commerce to be prepared for the surge of visitors. Now, Governor Greg Abbott wants the Texas legislature to bring in investors behind large-scale home purchases. You can read this Texas Tribune article on our website, crossroadstoday.com. And with that, let's toss it over to Chief Meteorologist Mac Bettis.
You know, Karina, I have a friend coming from Madison, Wisconsin to Austin, driving to the hill country to watch the eclipse, then goes back and goes home.
Is your friend by any chance Gino?
No.
Oh, okay.
This guy's actually a scientist, but this is a big deal for him, so it's amazing. So think of the amount of people that are going to be in the hill country just for those 4 minutes. It's going to be amazing. Well, the temperatures right now, we're looking at about 60 degrees. Of course, our temperatures in the next couple of days, the good news is that it's going to start warming up. Yes, but tomorrow is not. Tomorrow's sweater weather, and we'll be talking more about that coming up in a moment. Well, good evening, everybody. Right now, oh, by the way, I'm not in the picture. I'm over here at the weather wall. It's 56 degrees, a little chilly out there, and our high temperature today only got up to 71. But tomorrow, because it's the peak of the cooling, we're looking for temperatures to actually stay in the mid 60s. That's actually going to be a little on the chilly side. So here is what we're looking at tonight. High clouds rolling through, a little mist or sprinkle out there possible, but none of this is really hitting the ground. We still have a lot of cloud cover in our area, and a lot of it continues to drift over the mountains of northern Mexico and into our region. We are looking at 63 for tomorrow, 67 in Houston, 65 in Corpus Christi, but 60 in San Antonio. That's, that's kind of chilly, but that will be the end of it, because then all of a sudden we start slowly warming up as we get to the weekend. I wanted to show you this pretty big story. Rio de Janeiro, down in Brazil. You see the temperature right there in the middle? That's 39 degrees Celsius. Well, that translates to 102 Fahrenheit. That was on Sunday. But it was 100% humidity. So it felt like 62 degrees Celsius or 144 Fahrenheit. That's stunningly high. At 135 Fahrenheit heat index, people start expiring because you can't cool down your body. You notice that there's really nobody on the streets. They're trying to stay inside and stay cool. Brutal heat wave throughout South America while we're here sort of dealing with winter. Well, tomorrow 63, then we finally get up to about 74 on Thursday, but we got a good chance of rain. But by the weekend, things are going to be improving. Here's the way it works out. High pressure gave us the cool air. That's rolling eastward. Low pressure out over Arizona is going to be traveling across the southwest. And on Wednesday, it does have a shot at giving us a little bit of precipitation. You see it right there south of Austin. But on Thursday is really the peak of that activity, and that's when we have enough instability in the air. They actually trigger a couple of showers. So we're looking for rain on Thursday. The good news is by Friday it does pull away, and then we've got high pressure building in, drier air coming in, and looking for much better weather for the coming weekend. I feel bad about this past weekend, kind of sloppy, all the way around. It was cold and sloppy, and then we didn't get really the amount of rain that I had expected. We only got about a half an inch, even though I was looking at 1 to 2. So tomorrow in Port Lavaca, partly to mostly cloudy, high temperature only 64. For those of you in Cuero, we get up at 51 degrees, and then only 62 is a high. So some of you are going to be dealing with a sweater if you're going to be outdoors, or a jacket or something like that, or double long sleeves. That'll work too. So here's your 7-day. Looking at a few sprinkles or maybe a shower or two late Wednesday night, but most of it will occur on Thursday. We'll watch for that. Then after that, Friday clears up, and then we get up to 78, 79, 80 degrees for the early part of next week. So we continue with our little bit of roller coaster on the temperature department. All right, we do have a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that. Quick response. And if you do, you'll get Crossroads Today on your phone. That is it for weather. We'll toss it over to Zach with sports.
Thank you, Mac. The Bloomington Bobcats have a familiar face that's going to fill their head coach vacancy next year. I'll have that in sports. We've got a new coach, but he's not new to the program. The Bloomington Bobcats opting to promote assistant coach Lane Shands as their new head coach. At practices, Shands was very much involved in what the Bobcats were doing whenever head coach Brandon Krause was maybe off working with the quarterback. Shands led the charge out there getting the boys ready. This seems like a natural slide over for him. He does a great job of holding his guys accountable, and they're no longer in a district with Refugio and Shiner. They did a pretty good job of laying the foundation for a pretty good program this year, so I'm interested to see what the guys can do. But let's move over to Victoria East, who this past weekend brought some hardware back first place, to be exact, for the second consecutive year. And when head coach Marcus Hernandez started at East, he started from the bottom with only a couple of girls, and it's safe to say they've come a long way. The East girls are state champs once again, going back-to-back under head coach Marcus Hernandez, who says this year's team was special. He even had one athlete tear her ACL back in September and come all the way back to finish second over the weekend despite some initial doubt.
I was concerned and I was worried about where my numbers were and how good I would do, but Coach Hernandez, he really helped me through that. And even when I called him like crazy and said that like, no, I'm not lifting, like I'm not lifting, I won't be able to do that this year. He was like, no, you're going to lift, you're going to make it to regionals, and then you're going to make it to state. Not only was Marcus Hernandez right about Olivia's comeback, but those uplifting words are why he was able to build up a program that was so tiny just a few years ago.
It feels awesome. I mean, I've been here since like the beginning of the team. We used to literally take the whole entire team every weekend, and now we just have so many kids, and just seeing the team grow and getting those points and be able to go back-to-back champs and possibly looking at a third year, it just feels great. And it's awesome to see Coach Hernandez like get what he wants, and like I know he's worked very hard for this.
Seeing the growth and just the girl side alone, and knowing that it's taken off here at Victoria East on the girl side, it's big. It's one of my goals that I had set when I got into coaching. And it's happening right in front of my eyes. It's great. While the program is taking off at East, it is largely due to the sacrifice put in out of school. Hernandez once said that he is there more than at home sometimes, and his first place finisher Madison Ruiz confirms that and says his commitment to them made her go that much harder.
He does a lot for this team, and whether it's sacrificing his own time outside of school to make sure we're doing our best, or one of our lifts isn't looking too good, he's just there to kind of stabilize everything, because I'm very emotional, I freak out a lot, and he's just like, it's okay. And definitely he made me want to be better and put in the work, and I really think he's the biggest part of why I did so good this year.
The girls have laid the foundation for the future classes. Now the boys from East get ready to go and compete this weekend. Well, congrats to East. Going to try to get over to West tomorrow. And speaking of East and West, we've got a battle over at the Youth Sports Complex. Victoria West has been on the absolute tear of late, winners of their last 5 games. Victoria East has been on a tough 3-game slide, but just played well against a tough Cuero team, and head coach Melissa Buck wants her girls to bounce back after dropping their first district game.
Yeah, I mean, East versus West, always a little more pressure, a little more hype going into it. But at the end of the day, it's another district game. And after losing the first one the other day, we really need to get a win no matter who we're playing.
All right, well, that is it for your sports. Karina, back to you.
Thanks, Zach, and stay with us. Coming up next on 25 News Now at 10, we're going to take a last look at your weather with Mac. Plus, spring is now upon us, and tomorrow is the first day of the new season. Crossing the street may get easier in Las Vegas. The city is employing artificial intelligence to help, and a U.S. representative secured $1.4 million from President Joe Biden's infrastructure bill for the project. For now, AI-enabled crossings are only coming to the city's downtown area. Now, last week, our clock sprang forward for daylight savings, and now, Tuesday, Mother Nature springs forward with a change of seasons. The first day of spring falls on a different date every year, but this is the earliest in March the equinox has fallen since 1896, and spring has sprung, and I certainly have felt it.
Yep.
My body felt it.
Yep.
It's difficult to get up.
Well, you know, today I took some really nice pictures of wildflowers on 183 up to Gonzales. They were all coming out, and tomorrow I was going to show that because it's the first day of spring. So we'll talk about all that tomorrow.
I went to Quail earlier.
Yeah.
They're right over there, beautiful. Everything's blossoming.
Everything's blooming really nicely. So, of course, tomorrow is going to be a little on the nippy side. Only 63 is a high temperature. But the rain on Wednesday, the chance, comes in late at night. Most of it's going to be on Thursday. So if you've got outdoor plans Thursday, might be a little on the sloppy side. But after that, we've all got plans for next weekend because we need to get a little sunshine and warm temperatures. And it looks like we'll be around 80 degrees for the coming weekend.
Alrighty, thank you, Mac. Now, a surprise discovery when fire crews were battling a brush fire in Southwest Virginia last week. There was a little bear cub that needed help. Last Thursday, more than 150 acres burned in that area. While working to contain the blaze, fire crews heard yelping in the brush. An administrator called it a miracle that they even heard the cub over the noise of the fire.
Able to hold on to him, clasp him, and he actually was pretty calm, didn't try to scratch me or anything. He actually almost seemed like he was asking for help because he didn't try to run away or get away from me.
A happy ending there. The cub has since been given to the Virginia Department of Wildlife Resources. Oh, he looks like a puppy.
Well, you can tell he's happy somebody's got him.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he had to survive the fire.
Yeah, it can get hot out there.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, thank you, Mac, and thank you for joining us for 25 News Now at 10. Join Carolina Astrain and meteorologist Parker Cox for 25 News Now Sunrise starting at 5 a.m. Good night.